Hi, Sreemoyee. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
It is a total pleasure. I've loved the documentary. So, today we will be talking about Towards Happy Alleys, a film that dives into Iran society and cinema in a very, very special way. So, I guess that my first question is, how did you end up learning, researching Iranian cinema?
Um, it's all this started when I was much younger, way back when I was 21. I was doing my master's degree in film studies from a university called Jadavpur University in Calcutta. And basically, we had a module on Iranian cinema, and I was very inspired by the films of the new wave that we saw. We were taught, like the films of Kiarostami, Makhmalbaf, Panahi, and many others. And I was deeply inspired because you wouldn't imagine that such life affirming, poetic um, works, which instill you with so much hope, could be coming out from a place which has really stringent censorship and yeah, where people are almost always watched. So I didn't expect to see a kind of cinema that would be instilling me with so much hope. And I was really inspired. And Iranian new wave is often taught with alongside the um, poetry of Iran, Persian poetry, especially modern Persian poetry. And we were fortunate that the new wave was taught to us with the poetry of Farrukhzad, and other poets also. But Furugh became very important to me, actually, because Furugh was somebody who wrote in the 60s in Iran, and she voiced the desires of a woman, and that had no place to be voiced in society at that point of time. So her poetry brought out all of these things, the feminine, the quality of the feminine, and that really inspired me. So I was deeply inspired at once with the poetry of Furugh and the cinema that we were watching, and together I was moved enough that I wanted to learn Persian, go to Iran, learn Persian, and meet these people. Meet Kiarostami, meet Panahi, and ask them how they can still find ways to be inspired despite living in a place like Iran, which is politically in a mess, where people are fighting every day for basic human dignity, for freedom of expression, for having choice. And in a place like that, how do you find ways of getting inspired? I wanted to meet them and ask them these questions. And slowly over time, I saved some money. I figured a place in Tehran where I could learn Persian. And a few years later, when I was 26, I went to Iran, and that's where the journey began.
It must has been really have been a really long process because you needed to learn a new language in order to visit there to communicate properly with them. And I would imagine that learning Farsi would open tons of doors for you.
Yeah, it was actually a long process because I think when we make documentaries, I think immersion is a very important thing about documentaries, because through immersion, through assimilation, you can really break boundaries of um, an outsider versus an insider. And I've always been an outsider. I'm not Iranian. So I thought, I believe that the first thing I needed to do, and the most basic thing that I had to do, was learn Persian, so that I could make friends. I could I mean, when people would trust me, enough to want to tell their stories to me. So I knew that Persian could be that one thing that would break all these barriers
Mhm.
of being somebody outside the country, outside the community, and coming and making a film on us. I mean, it could all sound very strange, right? So I and the question of ethics becomes very important also. So I felt Persian could really break this divide. And also, I truly wanted to learn Persian. Even
Mhm.
before I knew I want to make the film, I wanted to learn Persian because I was inspired by poetry. I was inspired by Furug's poetry, and I was inspired by Kiarostami's cinematic poetry. So I
Mhm.
desire to learn Persian preceded everything else. And after that, I realized that, well, I need to go there and I meet these filmmakers, meet the artists, meet the women, meet people, and understand how one can find ways to be inspired despite living in a place where everything is crumbling around you. You know,
Yeah.
even in India,
Yeah.
even around the world. I mean, freedom of expression is something that is constantly diminishing. The space where we
Yeah.
can be ourselves is constantly reducing. So this film began with the stories of Iran, but it's not limited to Iran per se. So I began learning Persian, and then I decided that I need to do a PhD because I need to ground myself in research. And
Mhm.
the PhD and the desire to do a PhD and the desire to make a film came together. It fed into each other. But yeah, Persian, the desire to learn Persian came before everything else.
When we were watching the documentary, we went to watch you learning day by day little things, but we went to hear you, and I really love that because I think it's one of the most raw things. It's honest, really. We hear you singing, and for them, hear you singing those pieces, it's like being a little bit freer, more free. It's like they got that because you could sing and they couldn't. So how did it feel? Enjoyed
Hmm.
hearing you singing, because
Hmm.
I could feel that for them it was liberating, it was inspiring as well. So
Hmm.
they seemed genuinely happy to hear you,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah.
was happy as well. So I really love that connection. So by the way, your voice is amazing. I wish I could sing that way. So do you love singing, because it shows a little bit?
I do. I do. In the sense, I do. I've been singing since the age of 4. So music is the way. Singing is the way. You know, through singing, I express myself. I've been singing since forever. I can remember. So, picking up these songs in Persian. I was learning the language, but then, when you learn the language, you basically, if there are songs, you want to learn the songs, you want to pick it up if you're a singer. And it happened very organically to me. And
Mhm.
you know uh, I, and when you're a singer, you want to sing for people. So I wanted to sing for the people who were my friends over there, for the people who agreed to be a part of my film. And slowly they would meet others, and they would say that this someone from India who's picked up Persian songs. And that's how I started singing for everyone. And only later I realized that women are not allowed to sing in public. And in the beginning, I didn't know this. Obviously, I was heartbroken. And in the beginning, it made me a little uncomfortable. But every time I sang, Martha, the world began singing with me. People began singing with me. Women began singing with me. People, the person in the optician store, he sings with me. Aida sings with me. Girls in the school sing with me, even when they are not allowed to, they join in, because music has that quality. Um, if 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 a favorite song of yours is playing, you just cannot shut up, you have to sing. So so that is what this song that keeps recurring in my film called Sultane Galbha does. Because it is this favorite song, everybody knows this song, it's an eternal love song. It's just very classical, in a lover's desire to be present with the beloved. And so when I started singing this song, everyone knew it and everyone wanted to join in. So that space of forbidden expression, kind of broke, and that space
Mhm.
opened up, and everyone joined in, and it felt like this moment of liberation. And every time music brought in this element in the film, and slowly I realized that music has to be a part of the film. It became a major theme of the film. And the film is about expression, it's about expression through cinema and poetry. And it just organically felt perfect when music came in. So it is about um, expressing even when we are not allowed to. Be
Mhm.
fighting and fighting to safeguard and protect the space of our expression, where when it is crumbling all over,
Mhm.
it's just diminishing. But as artists, as women, as free thinking people, uh, we as people with dignity, we want to protect
Yeah.
this space of expression.
Hmm.
So yeah, the film is about that. And earlier you asked me about the time, and it did take a lot of time, because yeah, I was doing my PhD, I was learning Persian, I was learning these songs. And I made the film alone, in the sense, not the film but the production happened. I
Mhm.
mean, I had to do everything alone, because in Iran I couldn't just go with a team, of camera people, like someone doing the camera, someone doing the sound, or taking up a tripod and placing it on the street and filming, because I wouldn't ever get permits. So I did everything in Iran myself, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever you say. I had to do the camera, I had to do location sound, and I also had to direct my the people I was filming. um, yeah, and I had to constantly talk in Persian. So it wasn't easy, because Persian is not my mother language after all, mother tongue after all. So it did take a lot of time, and then we had to translate everything. And of course, it's an independently done film, so of course, uh, that's another struggle, where you it takes time to make a film that's independently produced, especially if it's a documentary, because in India we do not have so many local funds we can tap into. So
Mhm.
we often have to make a lot of grant applications. We have to look westward. These grant applications are very competitive, and it takes time. If you get some funding, it takes time, and then you have to write 10 more applications, and you might get one more funding. So I mean, this whole thing took 7 years, and it took 7 years for me to finish this film. But I feel very happy that I could finish it,
Yeah.
because I think that's important.
I could say that it doesn't matter how long it took you, because it feels like timeless.
Hmm.
And when I want to, it's like it's not a moment in time. It's like all moments in time. This happens every day in every society, as you said. There is tons of places with less free of speech, where you get diminished freedoms and rights. So
Hmm.
I even here in Spain, I could sense how they live, how those women feel, and I could share and be empathetic with them. So I would feel the same. You know, I know what they mean when they force you to put some type of clothes on, when you don't feel like you are being seen in the moment, right? Because you are all the same. All women are like, you know, like a sea, and with no personalities to show, you know. So I could sense that, and I could be empathetic with that. So I love how the documentary portrayed those women, because they were fighting, they were happy, they were, you know, it's not
Yeah.
like bad things happening to them. They want to be better, and
Yeah.
they want to show that. So that shows in the
Mm.
movie, and I think people are gonna relate to that, because you
Yeah.
don't need to see the misery of all
Yeah.
places all the time.
Yeah. I think we have
Yeah.
enough media and press and mainstream media and press that constantly, shows us in the ways that we are portrayed, cliched ways of
Hmm.
portrayal, like let's say women are always suffering in a place like India or Iran. We are dominated, we're always crying, and we can't do things for ourselves, and we're always dependent on others. And for Iran, it's always been like there's only suffering, there's
Hmm.
only violence, and there's only trouble. But there is all of that. But that doesn't mean there's only suffering, because life
Yeah.
goes on, right? And I mean, like, and also there's something. This is something that I learned in Iran. It's the more suffering that there is. Uh, the more celebration also there is,
Yeah.
the more that you treasure today so much more. And I mean,
Hmm.
truly, if you ask me, what do you take back, I take back this. I've always taken back this. Iranians live like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're,
The
I
little
mean,
things, they
the little,
enjoy the little things. Yeah.
yeah, they enjoy the little things.
Yeah.
They're always together. The community is so strong. You are so close to your families all the time. Even if you're in cities, there's so much togetherness. And I'm not saying there are parties every day, but then there
Yeah.
is togetherness. And there used to be a lot of parties too. I'm sure it's reduced a lot more, because the mood became really
Yeah.
gloomy
It's
and
worse. Yeah.
dark.
It's worse now. Yeah. I know it's
It
worse now that when you film there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It I would say yes and no. I mean, it was really bad in 2022 and early 2023, politically. But then, people's struggle, women's struggle, have continued despite the violence of the regime. And now, if you go back to Iran, of course I cannot go back right now, but I've heard my friends say that, like, if you go back to Tehran now, you will see that so many women walk the streets without wearing the scarf. So and that
yeah,
doesn't mean
fantastic news.
policing doesn't happen. Well, it doesn't mean that they are not being watched or the risk factor is less, but it just means that so many women have decided to protest, that I
Hmm.
feel like there is little the regime can do when so many numbers, come out in the street and they
Hmm.
protest and they just discard the stuff. I mean, some will still get arrested, but mostly it is a political statement that I don't care about your impositions anymore, even if it means that it risks my life. But visually, the visual scape of Tehran has changed. You do not see scarves on the hair so much.
So much. Okay. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad to hear that. Really.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
yeah.
such good news. It's such good news. So, would you say this experience has been so positive that you would continue to do this type of documentary, or do you feel like doing something else in the future?
Uh, I think, yeah, I would make documentaries for sure. I would also teach, because I really enjoy teaching young students, and because I feel like it we need younger people to come up, and we need to form a community, um, because we need to have each other, because the independent film community is very small. But yeah, I do want to make documentaries, and I feel like the films that we make are somehow extensions of the world we live in, what we connect with politically, socially,
Mhm.
um, the position we find ourselves in the large society we live in. So yes, I would want to continue making films. I also will continue falling back on music and poetry, because I feel it's these are ways through which I express myself very naturally. So I feel my films will always have that, and I feel an element of personal would be there in my films. You may see me, you may hear me in my upcoming films as well. My next film is going to be shot in Calcutta, where it's where I've grown up. So uh, let's see how that begins, how
Yeah.
that begins.
I guess we will be talking, yeah, shortly. Yes, when you finish that one, because I
Yeah.
truly, and I say it with total honesty, I really enjoyed the documentary. I think it's gonna hit hard for whoever watches it, because it's it's honest, and the honesty, it goes beyond the camera, and it's got beyond the screen. And I think I've watched it on my own, but I think it must be just perfect watching it with other people surrounding you, because I think that the magic of cinema is that when you are watching something with other people around you, you get to sense and to feel somehow what they are sensing and they are feeling. It's not just you on your own, you know. So I think that I would love to watch that. So I will hope that people will go to Buenos Aires now here in Spain. So we are having on Sunday a
Yeah.
watching, a screening. So they must go there, because
Yeah.
it's going to be fantastic. Yeah.
Yes, please tell your friends and everyone, all your viewers, to come there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll do so. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having us. I know it's difficult nowadays to connect so much and to be in these interviews, but I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. It really means a lot, because this is going to be our premiere at, in Spain. So it's going to be our first screening, and I'm really excited to share the film with Spanish, audiences. Uh, I hope you viewers like the film and they get back in touch. We are there on Instagram. The film has a page. I have a page. So I hope I can connect with everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon and we'll talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
Bye.